In today's video, my search for the best pro tenor sax on the market today has brought me to this beauty, Yamaha YTS82Z Custom. I'm going to be putting it through its paces today in 4 different playing styles, but also evaluating it on a bunch of different points and comparing it to the other saxes that I've been reviewing. So stick around, it's going to be an interesting test today and I can't wait to put this sax through its paces. Now as always, if you're new here, click subscribe and the bell notification icon so you don't miss other videos that I'm putting out all the time. All right, let's get stuck in. G'day, Nigel McGill here from Sax School. Hey, thanks so much for joining me for another one of these videos. So I've been testing a bunch of saxophones lately, and you may have seen the other reviews that I've done on my channel here, where I've looked at things like the Yanagisawa tenors, the Trayford James Signature Custom, the, what else have I looked at? Oh, Selmer Reference 36 versus a vintage Selmer. I'm looking for a new tenor because over the years I've actually played Yamaha saxes quite a lot. My Yamaha 62 over there, purple logo YTS82, I actually bought new in the 80s. Eesh, that's why my hair's fallen out, because I'm that old. So since the 80s I've been playing that alto and I love it, to be fair. But I never really got on with the Yamaha tenors. I've played the 62 tenors quite a lot over the years professionally. Nah, I don't know, they never really grabbed me. I felt as if they didn't quite have the sound that I was looking for. So my tenor for the last 25, 27 years has been this Dave Guadala tenor sax. The thing is, this Dave Guadala tenor has some issues. It's got some intonation problems, it's got some mechanical issues that I'm just getting a bit frustrated with, so I'm looking to make a change. Now, the question about which is the best pro tenor sax, it comes up a lot in our Sax School community. We've got thousands of learners now. And of course, we're always talking about what is the best tenor saxophone. So I've been quite systematic in going through looking at a load of different brands. Now in today's video, I'm going to be testing this in 4 different playing styles. If you want to jump right to the point where I'm playing this sax in those different styles, then check out this time up here and go have a listen. But hopefully you'll stick around with me because I want to have a quick talk before we get to the playing about what I think about this saxophone. Now I do have to say a great big thank you to Yamaha who sent me over this YTS82Z to have a blow on. I've got to give it back. I've just got it for a few weeks, but it's been wonderful that they did send this over to me because it means that I can give it a proper test to see what I really think about the saxophone. And I have to say Yamaha are a great company. I've been playing Yamaha flutes for a long time as well. Their guitars are great, their keyboards are great. Yeah, they're a company that have been around for a long time and they really know their stuff. Now before we get into the technical side of this tenor, a lot of people in my community have been asking me about the YTS82Z versus the 875. As far as I can understand, the YTS82Z is probably better suited to a range of playing styles, whereas the 875 is more of a classical saxophone. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I was told, and that's the reason why I chose to go for the 82Z. And also, this has got some updated features on it compared to the 62, which is what really caught my imagination. So let's talk about the mechanism. Now, of course, I'm a little bit biased, having played a Yamaha alto for such a long time, but I have to say the mechanism on this is fantastic. It feels to me like coming home. When I picked up this saxophone the very first time, it just felt really familiar. And I think in general, Yamaha mechanisms are very good. They're very accurate, they're very even. There's nothing that really stands out. You don't have any struggles over the little fingers on either hand. Everything feels really well balanced, and this saxophone is of course really well set up as well. I say of course because this is a pro level saxophone, so you would expect it to be tickety-boo. Now I will say that I tested some Yanagisawa saxophones recently. You might have seen my video where I'm testing the W010 and comparing it to the previous model in silver and bronze, the 9932. I actually think the Yanagisawa mechanism is just slightly better than this Yamaha one. They're both fantastic, don't get me wrong, and I do love the Yamaha, but I think Yanagisawa's just got something extra, which for me, when I was working and playing really, really fast, it really gave me the edge, I thought. Interesting that the Yamaha they've never used the double arms here, it's all single arms. It's very standard. It didn't look or feel much different to my 62 alto, which I really like. It feels great to me, so mechanism is a definite plus. So what do I think about the tone? Well, I tell you what I really liked straight away when I picked up this tenor is it's got a quality to the sound. It's got like a barkiness to the tone, which I really like. I mentioned at the start of the video that over the years I've played the 62 tenor quite a lot. It didn't really grab me. It was great, but it didn't just like make the hair stand up on the back of my neck. Whereas this has got something to the sound which really sounds great to me. It's not, to my ears, not overly commercial. It's certainly not a classic sound. It's not that sort of warm Selmer Mark VI sound. It is a more contemporary sound for sure, but I do think that you can do quite a lot with it. And the extra little edge that I hear in this saxophone, and maybe it's because they've updated the necks on these 82Zs compared to the 62, maybe that's what's making the difference. But for me, it's got a little extra excitement in the sound that I really, really like. Now I will say that when I've listened back to some recordings of this tenor in comparison to my Godala or the Yanagisawas or the Selmers, it does sound initially to me, and this is really just my opinion, but it does sound more commercial and more bright than some of the other saxophones that I've tested. Now that could just be me getting used to the saxophone and finding the different sounds that I can get out of the saxophone. But yeah, first impressions was it did sound more commercial when it was recorded. But when I'm playing it, it's got that quality that I really, really like in the sound. So definitely a plus for tone. Overall, the intonation on this saxophone is fantastic. I mean, you would expect that with the Yamaha. They're generally really consistent. And yeah, this definitely is consistent. So there's no real issues with the intonation. And that goes for all the way up into the Altissimo as well. And speaking of Altissimo, the Altissimo on this tenor pops out really well. I would actually say the Altissimo on this was better than the Yanagisawas that I tested. Both are amazing, but this for me just felt a bit more natural. Now it could also be because I'm playing the Yamaha Alto, and I have been for a long time. But yeah, it really popped out. And definitely the Overtone series sounds very easy on this as well. Yeah, the overtones feel very secure, and if anything, I'm overshooting the overtones often on this saxophone in comparison to my Godala, and it's definitely easier than I found on the Reference 36. So let's talk about price for a second. So in England, the Yamaha 82Z is about £4,200, which is about $5,400 US. So that puts it quite a lot cheaper than the Selmer reference models, either the 36 or the 54. They're about £6,500 or about $8,300 US. So quite a lot. I mean, you know, over £2,000 cheaper than the Selmer reference models. But it is about £1,000 more expensive than the Yanagisawa WO10. I think they're about £3,300, which is about $4,500 US for the Yanagisawa WO10. And I have to say, you know what? The WO10 is actually a fantastic saxophone to compare with this, in my opinion, because it has fantastic mechanism, it's got a wonderful sound, it's very versatile, and it's £1,000 cheaper. So some people will prefer the Yamaha. I mean, I haven't made my mind up yet. There's a load of things I really like about this, not just about the mechanism, but about the sound. I mean, you might find that you prefer the extra little barkiness of the sound in this 82Z to the more neutral sound of the Yanagisawa, or the more Selmer-y sound of the Selmer reference saxophone. So you need to decide which one works for you. But it is quite interesting when you compare that spread of prices. And of course, there's far more expensive models. There's the gold-plated versions of these. Even the Selmers have got more expensive ones, and the Yanagisawas have more expensive ones as well. But if you're looking into that pro range, this is sort of smack bang in the middle price-wise. So just before I get started playing this saxophone, I've got a question for you. Have you tried the 82Z? Let me know if you play Yamaha or what other sax you play. Let me know in a comment below, because I'd love to know what saxes you're playing and what your opinion is of this saxophone. Okay, so it's time to get stuck in playing this saxophone. Oh, I love this part. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it through in 4 different styles, and I'm going to use 4 pieces from the Sax School lesson library. The idea is really that I want to hear what this saxophone sounds like in a classic straight ahead jazz setting. So I'm going to play a Ben Webster transcription. I'm going to play it through in a pop setting. So I'm going to play the Street Life solo, the classic Wilson Felder solo. I'm going to have a go at playing like a jump jivey blues, down and dirty type thing. So I'm going to play Bonacera. And then I'm going to just test it out playing a classical fast piece. So I'm going to play Flight of the Bumblebee just to see how the mechanism holds up. Now, here's the rules for me. I'm going to play through all of these in one take just to see how it all feels. Means I've got to really be on my toes, and I'm probably going to miss some things, but that's kind of good because it shows up the things that I might be struggling with on this saxophone. Now, I have spent quite a few hours sort of warming up and playing the saxophone, so I'm kind of familiar with it. But we're going to do one take. I'm playing everything on a Theo 1A slant sig size 8 hard rubber mouthpiece. I'm using Leger size 2.5 signature reeds. I'm a Leger artist, so I use these on everything. I'm also using a really simple microphone. I'm using a Rode NT1A straight into my computer. The signal is completely clean, so I'm not putting any reverb or EQ or anything on it. And like I said, it's going to be a single take. So wish me luck. Let's have a listen and see what it sounds like. So what did you think about that? Did you like the sound of it? How did you think it compared in the different styles? For me, it was quite interesting when I was listening back. As I was playing it, I was really digging that barkiness in the sound, particularly over the Wilton Felder Street Life thing, and actually over the Jump Jivey Bonacera solo. I felt like I was starting to get toward the sort of sound I'd like, and with a bit of more work on that, I think I could really get a big, fat, meaty, bluesy sound out of the 82Z. I also think it was quite round for that vintagey sound, but it's definitely not a vintage saxophone, so it takes a lot of work to get close to a Ben Webster warm sound. But with the Theo 1A, with this Theo 1A slant Sig mouthpiece, it did make it a bit more flexible. So overall, I really like the 82Z. I've got a few more saxophones that I'm going to test before I make my final decision. But I think this is actually a stonking horn, particularly if you like more commercial sounds. If you are playing in a funk setting or a pop setting, or even if you are needing a saxophone that's really versatile. So perhaps, like I've done a lot in my career, you're playing a West End show, and then you're playing in a funk band, and then you're doing a blues gig, and then you're playing a classical session. If you're doing lots of different things, then the Yamaha is fantastic because the mechanism is incredible. You've got a lot of variety in the sound, and there's nothing really in the saxophone that's going to hold you back. It's really up to you and what you create with that saxophone. And that's actually why quite a lot of high-end session guys use the Yamaha saxophones, because they are so flexible and they don't sort of push you down a single path. So I hope you found that useful. Make sure you leave me a comment and let me know what you think about this. Do you like this format of video? And do you like this saxophone? I'd love to know your thoughts. And also, if you're looking to explore more saxophones, and check out my other review videos with the Selmer Reference 36, the Yanagisawas, and surprising saxophone, the Trevor James Signature Custom Raw, which is a stonking saxophone. Fantastic. Now, of course, if you want to learn a bit more about Sax School and come and join our community of learners, we've got thousands of students from all around the world, and I'd love to help you in there with my team of tutors. You can find out more at mcgillmusic.com. We've got a 14-day trial that's running at the time that I'm shooting this video too, so you can jump in there, have a look around for 14 days, see if it's right for you. Okay, well, whatever you're doing, keep practicing hard, and hopefully I'll catch you on another video.